Welcome back to Nightly Nonsense, where we attempt to make some sense out of some nonsense. Either nonsense that's in the world already or nonsense that I just create, right? But we've been talking about the last couple nights, we've been talking about intentionality, being intentional about something. Talked about education, talked about spirituality. Today, I have my good friend Jason Wood in here. We're always talking about different things, but usually it has something to do with sports or something like that. Today, he's wearing a hat that has the Sabres emblem on it. I want to talk a little bit with Jason about intentional fandom. Intentional fandom, which we need in our Christianity a ton. We're to be fans of one another. Right? Fandom has all kinds of different meanings, but we're going to ask Jason, who I think is a resident expert in fandom, right? Jason, to be a fan of the Buffalo Sabres in your definitional world means what?
Endurance.
Endurance. What do you mean? That's a good word.
It's not been an easy 12 years. I think that was the last time they made playoffs was 2011. I think maybe it was 2012. But it's been a while. And to go through that and to go through multiple different ownerships and multiple different core players, or not ownerships, management and core players and all this stuff where you just want them to be at least decent again. When in reality, with all those changes, they can't be.
Now, you are a great Buffalo Sabre fan because you don't just sit at a TV and start yelling at, players that you don't really know and just about the game, right? You are invested in the team in that you're posting things frequently about players and trades and what you think and what they're doing and how they are, and took a picture when they were in the playoffs for 1.1 seconds this season, right? And you put it up there.
It's been 3 times they've been in that picture.
Right. So you have been invested, right? But again, there are fair weather fans, and then there are the U fans, right? What has it cost you to be a true fan of the Buffalo Sabres?
Other than sanity?
Which is...
it really hasn't cost me maybe some money if I'm buying a jersey or a hat or something. But to remain grounded in who I am, sometimes I need to take a step back before I can take a step back to it. So it hasn't really cost me too much because I need to take my time and I need to be realistic and I need to think things through about the direction of the team and their relationship to me, because in reality, I'm not that as connected to the team as I'd like to think.
Now, again, I love that point because when we talk about fandom in the Christian world, right? Spiritual fandom, we're talking about the same type of thing. There are people that we are close to. There are people that we really, 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 really do life with. And then there are people that we're kind of looking from the outside. But the truth is, in either case, we don't have as much influence as we like to think we do, right?
Yeah.
We look at things and we want to fix things, right? So if I said to you, hey, Jason, off the top of your head, if you could make a couple changes to the Buffalo Sabres, what would they be right now?
What would they be? I would love another tough stay-at-home defenseman. Another tough forwards or two. Not saying hitting or fighting, just people who are hard to play against and make the other team intimidated to not want to come into the building, because we have a lot of skill, but we have nothing to balance that with.
So knowing that, right, you immediately went to, I want a defenseman and I want a couple forwards that are tougher in nature. Now, again, do you know Kevin Adams?
Actually, yes.
Okay, good. So do you actually know him, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any influence on him acquiring players?
Absolutely not.
Has he ever called you and said, Jason, should I not acquire this player?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you have any financial stake in this, right? So that you could be like, hey, I'm giving lots of money to the Sabres. You should probably hire the people I want.
Other than the jerseys, no.
Right, you're just like every other fan, right? But we look at this and we feel, right? You feel emotional about this team, right? You're connected.
Yeah.
Other people are looking at things and going like, "Oh, call me in April. If they make the playoffs, then maybe I'll get invested." But you're invested. Like you literally, the first time that they were in the playoffs, right? According to the standings at that moment, you put a picture up on Facebook, right? Said, "I just want to remember this."
Yeah.
Right? That's way beyond most fans. Didn't
Yeah.
see anybody else really do that, right? That I know of, right? But you don't have the influence that you might like to think or that you would want with the Buffalo Sabres.
My
right?
only influence is to the people around me.
So how do we, looking at this from a spiritual aspect, right? There are people that we're close to that we might not be close to. We think we have some kind of spiritual influence over them, but the truth is we don't have nearly the influence that we think, right? So when the Sabres make a bad trade and you get really mad about it, what stops you from just taking your fandom and going to somebody else?
It's who I grew up watching. My grandfather and father were fans of the team. It was passed down, and seeing other fans around me.
Right, so there's a loyalty.
Yes.
Right, there's a loyalty. And again, we see this in the church world all the time. People who are fans of people and something happens, they do something they don't like or make a decision they don't like, and we take our fandom and we go find somebody else. Right? Like we both have done enough ministry to know we've seen that. We've seen people that take their fandom and move it to the next person.
Yeah.
Right? But being a true fan involves having loyalty, right? It's the stick-to-itness, right? It's the idea that, listen, I want you. I love what you said at the beginning. It's been 12 years since the Sabres have made the playoffs, right? We want them to make the playoffs. It's for some people, it's, man, I have been working with you for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. I want you to be successful, right? But how do you be intentional about your fandom with the Sabres, but not lose your mind?
I don't put all my stakes in one place, in one basket, and I know that it's beyond my control. There's no such thing as control anyway.
Yeah.
My control is I need to have control over myself and my decisions, and that's about where it is. But also reminding myself that other people are watching me. That maybe I could make a fan or two for the Buffalo Sabres, but a lot of that's on my behavior and how I act, and invite them to come along with me.
I love that. Should we be inviting other people to be fans of the people that we're cheering on?
Not so much the fans, but the person that, like, I wouldn't want people to be fans of me, but I'd rather have them be fans of the team. Just like they shouldn't be fans of me, they should be fans of Jesus. Or if I'm a fan of I like Skillet. I'm a fan of Skillet. I want them to listen to Skillet, but I also want them to be a bigger fan of who Skillet's a fan of.
Amen. All right, so listen, we're going to leave intentional fandom right there. Some good points that Jason has brought up for us to be able to think about and chew on. Who are you a fan of, right? How invested are you in your fandom? Are you one of those people that just going to take your fandom and go find the next thing when it doesn't work out the way that you want it to? And are you a long-term fan? Man, 12 years is a long time to be waiting for a team, right, to make the playoffs. The whole idea is to run the race in such a way as to win. What do we do when people aren't running the race in such a way as to necessarily win? They're just running the race. How do we still be fans of those people? Cheer them on, right? Lots of things for you to think about. We'll see you next time on Nightly Nonsense.